Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this November 4th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We are glad that you are here with us today. If you want to find our content, go to EOA.network. That takes you to a link tree where you can find the locations of our Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and also our website. Also, don't forget, we have a Roku channel so that if you go to your TV and go to Roku, you can download that channel, and then you can see our streams, including this one live, and all of our pre-recorded content or our on-demand content is available there. And you can see that on your TV right sitting in your living room. Glad you're here with us. Here in a little bit, we are going to have Union County Commissioner Paul Anderes with us. So, hey, how are you?
Good morning. Is it already Tuesday? It's what is today? Tuesday? Oh man,
It's Tuesday,
second
man.
Monday, the 4th.
Yeah.
So I have a huge sports report today, so I want to talk about this in the beginning.
Okay.
Philomath was supposed to make the playoffs. Okay, so they play Sweet Home last Friday.
Okay.
Okay. They win convincingly, a couple touchdowns.
Philomath wins.
Philomath wins. Okay.
Over Sweet Home. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, come to find out, they had played a JV game the night before, which was scheduled originally for Monday. Okay? The original schedule. Monday, Philomath versus Sweet Home JV.
Okay.
Sweet Home says, can we move the JV game to Thursday? Philomath's like, sure, we'll play it Thursday.
Yeah.
Well, Philomath is short players, and they play a couple freshmen in the JV game, 2 quarters each.
Yeah.
And then they play the whole varsity game.
Okay.
Well, the Philomath head coach didn't know that you have to have 48 hours. It would have been fine if the game would have been on Monday because you can play 6 quarters in a week in 4A.
Okay.
Well, the Philomath coach didn't know that you had to have a 48-hour break if you played those quarters. And Thursday to Friday is not 48 hours. Well, Sweet Home found out. They told OSAA, Philomath gets a forfeit. It takes them out of the playoffs. Sweet Home gets a win, and it puts them into Philomath's spot.
Oh, wow.
That's janky. That's janky. I don't care on every single level. My thought on it is those kids earned that playoff spot. Punish the school or the coach. Don't punish those kids.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing it maliciously. It's not like they took 2 junior All-Americans and put them down in the JV game to kick the crap out of them. No, they're short players.
So since they had to forfeit the next game,
they're out of the playoffs completely.
Right, but the next game happened to be the first game in the playoffs, right?
No, they had to forfeit that game.
Oh, I see.
And
I
that
see.
yanked them out. That killed their RPI.
Got it.
And it took them. I mean, they're still ranked. Yeah, it's crazy. It's. I wish, and the OSA said, well, we don't. You can appeal, but we can't have it figured out by.
And what class is this? Is this 4A?
Yeah, that's who we're playing.
Oh, I see.
We're playing
Sweet Home.
Sweet Home.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting. Okay.
Yeah, so we thought we were playing Philomath on Friday night, and then wake up Saturday morning to this.
Playing Sweet Home. Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
It's crazy, man. I'm not a big fan of it.
So do you think you're going to be able to call the game on Friday without being ranting against
probably. Them? There'll probably be a couple of them in there. You know what I mean? I just don't understand why you would punish kids for that. I get why the rules in place for safety. You don't want, you don't want kids playing 6 quarters in 2 days. I get that, but it's not the kids' fault. And these seniors for Philomath, last time playing college or high school football for almost all of them. Yeah. And you say, okay, well, you earned the playoffs, but we're just going to take it away from you. Yeah. And Sweet Home hadn't made the playoffs since 2018. So they're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Right, finally.
Yeah. It's but at the same time, they didn't earn it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping is they come here and get a little dose.
Do you?
Yeah. yeah. So hopefully my Tigers come through for me.
Yeah. Well, there'll be Sweet Home fans watching on Friday night.
Oh, there'll be a lot of them.
So be gentle.
Yeah. Jimmy, good morning. Yeah. There's going to be some Sweet Home fans. I'm making sure of it. Yeah, that's crazy though, huh?
That is.
And there's no way to appeal it before the playoffs, so it's just take your punishment and run along.
Yeah.
It's okay, I've had a bunch of issues with OSAA things in the past. We all have. I mean, we sit here and try to understand what they're doing. But when it starts affecting the kids, that's when it really bothers me. And this affects kids. Like, they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like some kids went out and beat somebody up or were smoking weed or something. No. These kids did what their coaches were telling them to. They had no idea.
Yeah. That's too bad.
That irks me.
Well, you want to do the other sports report?
Yeah, let's do it. This is a long one. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit. Goat guns are the greatest of all time. 1/3 scale miniature gun model kits. These die-cast metal models range from 4 inches to 16 inches in length and up to 18 ounces in weight. They are a perfect tinker toy that can be safely displayed on your desk. Ask Joe about the bundle that you can buy to get 20% off. They're kind of cool. They're like little die-cast, like military-style guns. And if you go in there and talk to Joe, there's you can buy a 3-piece kit and you get 20% off of that. Hobby Habit in LaGrange, just for the fun of it. And this weekend's their 42nd anniversary. So from the 7th to the 9th, you get to spin the wheel of savings with every purchase and get up to 35% off. LHS football beat Pendleton on Friday night, 41-13 for the GOL championship. It was senior night, and the seniors went out in style. Dean Finley, Ryder McElmoyle each found the end zone, and Savon Schaub turned in the performance of the night with 4 touchdowns for the Tigers, as you can see up here. I'm going to start cutting video clips for the sports show. I should have been doing this a long time ago, but now we're starting to figure out exactly how. It would have been a real hassle to go through the entire game and find all the highlights, but we have a system that's going to make that a lot easier. They host Sweet Home in the first round of the OSA 4A state playoffs, live streamed right here on the EOA Live Network on this Friday from Community Stadium at 7 p.m. If they win, they will play the winner of Pendleton and Crescent Valley and Marshfield on November 15th. If Crescent Valley wins that game, the game will be here. If Marshfield wins that game, it'll be on the road. Crescent Valley is the 15 seed. Marshfield's the 2 seed. So if Crescent Valley figures out, which is weird because Crescent Valley is a 5A school. They just play 4A football. I don't understand how that works. They're in the Mid-Willamette Conference in every other sport except for football, I believe. And then they play 4A football. It's weird. The LHS girls soccer team hosts a playoff game this evening at 5 p.m. at Community Stadium. If you aren't doing anything, get out there and support these girls. If they win this game, they play the winner of Pendleton and Marist Catholic, who beat them in the state championship game last year. It's looking. If it works out the way it should, according to the seeds, that's going to happen, and that's a rematch of last year's state title game. That'll be on the road because Marist Catholic is the number 2 seed, I believe. LHS dominated the GOL Cross Country District Championships on Thursday at LaGrange Country Club. Both the Tiger boys and girls brought home district team titles and went 1 and 2 in both races. LHS freshman Cooper Altenberg won the boys' individual title with sophomore and our summer intern Caden May finishing second. LHS senior Brooke Perry won the girls' individual title with sophomore Lindsey Brown finishing second. Look for both teams to make a run at the state championship this Saturday. Now, these cross-country teams are both really young. On the girls' side, I think all of the top 5 finishers, except for Brooke Perry, are underclassmen. And then on the boys' side, I think there's 1 senior on the team. And they're all like sophomores and freshmen. So this trend of winning for cross-country is going to just keep going. EOU men's and women's soccer both have the CCC tournament this weekend. The men are the CCC champions and the CCC team of the week, as well as the number 1 seed in the tournament. They take on 8th-seeded Bushnell at 7 p.m. on Saturday down in Medford, while the women are the 3rd seed, and they will take on OIT at 10 a.m. on Saturday in Medford as well. Number 2 EOU volleyball hosts LC State and Walla Walla this weekend to close out the CCC regular season. They have hopes of winning both, so they're the tournament champions or the regular season champions and can host the tournament. The games are Saturday and at 5 and Sunday at noon, which is a little different look. Usually they play Fridays and Saturdays, but because of the Walla Walla being a Seventh-day Adventist, they move games around based on their religious. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's something to do with the Seventh-day Adventists. The EOU men's and women's cross-country teams go to Independence on a Saturday for the CCC championships. The men are ranked number 10 in the country, while the women are 16th in the country. They both teams have a chance at winning this championship. They ran really well at this Independence course a couple weeks ago, and they're going right back to it. And I'm a firm believer that they both have a really good shot at winning the team championship for the CCC. Finally, EOU football hosts Simpson on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Community Stadium for Senior Day. This last week, it was disappointing. They lost 56-14 on the road to Montana Western, and both of the touchdowns were fourth quarter. I call them garbage touchdowns. They were down 56-0. It was not pretty. Hopefully, they can get that turned around as they move to 1-2 or 2-2 in the CCC. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look outside. And
Crummy.
yeah, it's rainy. It's fall. There are fewer leaves on that tree right there all the time. But, man, the trees it's sure beautiful. I love this weather. I know you don't.
I know.
I love the fall. All right, let's take a look at that weather, the graphic here. So there's, according to this, 7-degree difference between day and night, which is super funny, weird. And then, so tonight down in the 50s, and then you can see the rest of the weather there. It looks like it's going to be rainy over the weekend. I saw a national weather, and it looks like there's a big storm coming in off the west coast, moving east. And so that will affect us a bit over the next several days. So, all right. Glad that you guys are here with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Union County Commissioner Paul Anderes. Hey there, man. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Glad to be back with Union County Commissioner Paul Anderes. Yeah. How are things?
Good. Good. Yeah, it's, the session's been out last spring. A little bit of action in the legislature with the special session. Still waiting to see when the governor's going to sign the bill that they passed. I've lost track on the number of days that she's got to still be able to sign that, but it's certainly not the high drama it was last spring.
So, and people guess at the motive of not signing it. What do you think the motive is?
I don't know, but my guess is that she's trying to shorten that window in which folks have time to collect signatures to put it on the ballot as a referendum.
So if she signs it into law, then the only action that the public can take is to gather signatures and vote on it.
Correct.
Okay. But if it's not into law yet, they can't take action against it.
Correct. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And it's a certain date in which the signatures have to be collected. So the longer she waits to sign it,
Right.
the smaller that window is to collect signatures.
Huh.
But I mean, the mechanism is in place. They've got the committee formed. They've got folks that are prepared as soon as she signs it to start collecting signatures.
So how does, and we're not even, we'll get to county business, I guess, and this is mostly just for me, educating me, but I'm sure there are others out there that are like me, and that is, so the second version of the transportation bill, which is the thing that she has pocketed, right?
Correct.
Okay, and for those that don't remember, Transportation Department, ODOT, was short funds, and so during the regular session, they proposed this gigantic bill, which had a lot of impact, and I think we talked about that. You were on the show, and we talked about that, and that did not pass.
Correct.
Okay, and so then this second version is skinnier, but what, I don't know, what is your opinion of the second version of this bill?
I think what happened between the sine die, the ending of the session, and the special session is that they were able to get some more legislators on board to vote for it, because there was a couple of folks that, specifically from the Democratic Party, that were kind of balking on that earlier bill. But seemed to be able to get them on board, and then they passed it. It's relatively similar as far as, you know, the 6 cents a gallon gas tax, and the percentage that the payroll tax is going to go up to support transit and things like that. So it's it is skinny down a little bit, but not a whole lot in my view.
So the impact on the licensing fees and all of that stuff is pretty much the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
for all
right.
intents and purposes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right.
Yeah. Time will tell. That,
Yeah.
I guess, is the only way to look at it for me.
All right. Well, hey, so what's going on in the county? How are you doing?
I'm good. Still continuing to kind of plug away at childcare and seeing
Yeah.
what if we can move the needle there. We have yet again switched our focus from that a little bit to, and this was with the help of National Association of Counties that have the program that we're in. And what that will be is, we've got a child care provider that's been working with us that knows the rules inside and out, frontwards and backwards, and went again with meeting with the folks from NACO, National Association of Counties. They said, "Can you change policy?" And I said, "Well, you know, a pretty strong relationship with Senator Nash, and perhaps we can get something through. Probably not in the short session, but certainly in the long session." And so we're looking at, and basically I said, "What would be your top 10 things that you would like to change right now? And, you know, when you're ready, let me know what those are." And she right away was able to provide me that list. And so we're looking at that, and Senator Nash has been out for a little while, and he just returned last week. And so soon we're going to sit down and kind of hammer that out, and then we'll get it through legislative concept so that they can get it written in bill form. And again, probably not in the short session, but in the long session, we'll make sure we run that one.
So, and the context of that is that doing child care in Oregon is more complicated because of more regulations.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, and
Yep.
so then your hope is to relieve some of those pivotal regulations through Congress, through
the state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Legislature.
through the state legislature, that will help us ultimately to be able to accomplish this,
Yes.
and hopefully
Yep.
others also.
And more,
Yeah.
what we're really is more quality slots available for children to be cared for.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I heard on the national news that like New Mexico recently has moved, I mean, the entire state has moved towards some kind of child care plan.
Free.
Yeah, free.
Yeah, free
Yeah,
child
and how
care
they're
in
how
New
they're
Mexico.
funding it is a whole nother question.
Yeah, I haven't been following that.
But the point is that this is a very active conversation, and
Yes.
it doesn't matter on which side of the aisle you're on, you know.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah, if you have kids, I mean if like so my kids are right in the middle of the age, and you connect with Kelsey quite a bit, you
Correct.
know.
Yep.
You understand the need. I mean, they are constantly juggling and trying to figure out, you know, how to get the kids taken care of.
Yes.
While doing 2 full-time jobs.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough, and you've heard this speech before way too many times, but it's difficult to hire anybody. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at not all, but almost every business in Union County, they've got a help wanted sign out.
Yeah.
If you're able to hire someone, it's difficult to find housing for those individuals, especially if they're coming in from out of the area and haven't been here a while and are looking for a new opening. And then if by some miracle you get those 2 boxes checked, then childcare becomes an issue for those families. And like you said, we've been working with the hospital, we've been working with the Grand School District, we've been working with Eastern Oregon University, and all trying to get our heads together to figure out how to make more safe, quality spaces available for children. And at the same time, we certainly don't want to hurt those that are already providing child care. So it's kind of a fine line we're trying to walk there.
It's not unlike insurance coverage or health care from the standpoint of you really want to help those people that don't have health care, but at the same time, you can't just erase the system that's already in place.
Correct. Yes.
You know, I mean, so anyhow, that's a deep well. So let's talk about housing for just a minute.
Okay.
I mean, I know that without going back over what we already know, you know, I mean, and the reason housing is complicated is because I guess the stop that I think right now is the cost of building. I mean, even if you have the money to build a new house, which I mean, I just talked to somebody yesterday about this. Even if you had the money to build, it would cost you more to build it than what it is actually worth. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, yes. And for example, my wife and I are having our deck rebuilt. And I went and bought all the materials for it, I thought. And miscalculated. I didn't account for the stairs, so I was short. And so I thought, well, I want to make sure I have enough. So last summer I bought 2x6 cedar, and because I love wood, I love a wood deck, and they were on sale. I will say that. And then because I bought so many, they gave me a little bit of a discount. And those were for every 12-foot board, it was $23 a board, which is not cheap, but at the same time, comparatively, it was reasonable, I thought. So last weekend I went and picked up 10 more of those same exact boards, probably came out of the same unit, and they were $28 a board. And I said, I know they were on sale earlier, but that seems like a big jump. And they said, well, this particular product comes out of Canada, and the tariff on top of it is what drove the price.
So it went from, what'd you say, 24 to 28?
24 to 28.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I don't know. What is your personal opinion of the whole tariff mess, for lack of a better term?
I would call it just that, a mess. I think, in a perfect world, we would either have equal tariffs or we would have no tariffs. Because when you start having tariffs, you start to pick winners and losers, which is really never good policy when you start doing that. And it's, in this case, it was the consumer that eventually paid it rather than, the government from the country it's coming from.
Well, and I guess I think the good thing about tariffs, the whole conversation, is I'm much more aware of trade imbalances than what I ever did before. I mean, I don't know, that never came onto my radar, you know. But yeah, the impact to us personally, and in that particular case, you know, I can see how that, and it's just it creates this world of hesitancy. I
Right.
was talking to another businessman on Sunday, and he said, "Yeah, we're just kind of holding on to our money because things are just, you know, topsy turvy right now."
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but, you know, and I do serve on the board of Northeast Oregon Housing Authority.
yeah,
And we really are starting to shift our focus from affordable housing, which Northeast Oregon Housing Authority has been, that's been their mainstay for a long, long time. And it's now more on affordable workforce housing for those like your children who are working 2 jobs, for them to be able to get into a home or even rent a home or a duplex that's available so that they have a place to live. Interestingly, though, you know, we talked about red tape a minute ago on childcare. I have the opportunity with a handful of other Eastern Oregon commissioners to meet with the governor about, give or take, every 9 months or so. And for a few of those early on ones, we were saying, if you want housing starts, you need to do something about the red tape and the agencies that you ultimately control and the effect that they have on building and construction. And we pounded on that drum at least 2 meetings, if not 3. And then about 3 months after that, she came out with this big proclamation, which, good for her, she was listening, that said, if we're going to have housing starts like we want and get to the numbers that we want for housing production, we've got to get out of our own way with the red tape. And it was like, all right, she's listening. Haven't seen the needle move a whole lot on that yet, but at least the thinking has moved to that we've got to make it easier for people to build quality homes for people to live in.
and that is so difficult. I mean, Kyle and I were talking the other day about how city ordinances are, you know, and so you have a base ordinance and then you adjust that, and parts of the new ordinance might keep part of the old. But I mean, and so then sometimes, and I'm sure the county is that way too. So to get to an ordinance, to the meaning of an ordinance, it almost takes a lawyer to translate all of those different parts, you know. And so in this particular, like if you're trying to reduce the red tape, it's all like spaghetti. It's
Right.
like all, you know, and
the interaction be from one agency to another.
right,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so then I mean, a lot of times that, I don't know, if I was in the position of doing that, at times it would be like, well, yeah, this is important, but there's something more urgent that needs to be taken care of.
Right.
And in the meantime, the pile of spaghetti just stays.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of the things that I always look at, especially when we're considering a new ordinance, and that's, I think, why we have a first reading and a second reading
Yeah.
of them, is to make sure that we're going to do no harm.
Yeah.
I mean, much like the child care that I was talking about. We don't want to harm the people that are already providing that service and doing a great job.
Right.
But we just want to be able to have enough so that people aren't having to leave the workforce or take time off of their jobs, even for a short period of time, to make sure they have their children cared for.
So back to the housing. The focus has been more, what do you call workforce housing?
It has been affordable housing.
Affordable housing.
Call it subsidized housing.
Okay.
And it looks as though, especially in Union County, we've got that pretty well taken care of.
Okay.
But now we're looking at workforce housing, and that is, you know, the people that are working at one of the mills, they're working at one of the trailer factories, they're working at the hospital, have a home or that they can either rent or buy, so that we have that supply of housing for people to live in. And what's interesting about LeGrand, mostly LeGrand, but Union County in particular, is the university. And I was completely unaware of this. And it's not like every time this happens, but many times the homes or apartments that the university students rent don't come on the market. you're a senior, you're graduating. You talk to your buddy that's a junior and go,
100%.
hey, take my lease over here, and this is a great place. You already know what it looks like.
Right.
And so they just continually roll from one student to the other, and they never show up on the market.
I lived in one of those houses. My friends it was called the Pit, and Brenda Jackson was the property manager for it at the time, and you just handed it off to the next guy.
Yep.
She'd come in and change the paperwork, and
Yeah.
it's very common.
And so the point of that is that
It just, I mean, they're on the books as housing stock,
Right,
but
right,
they
right.
really are not
Oh, I get it.
available,
Okay,
if
all right.
you will. Yeah. And it's not like every single one happens that way, but it's fairly common with university students.
well, and so what is the layer above workforce housing? What's that called?
I would call it professional housing
Okay.
or high-end housing.
Right. And you know, from the conversations that I've had with people, my knowledge is we're missing part of that professional housing too. And that's part of what compresses stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and actually at every level,
Yeah.
we're short on inventory.
Right.
And it's been, a number of years ago, Jeremy Davis from the hospital called and said, hey, I need help. Everything from an entry-level housekeeping person to a specialized physician really can't find anywhere to live. So at every level, that's
Right.
true. Hopefully the construction of the affordable housing took a little bit of the heat off of the lower end, because a lot of those people were what's called renting out,
Right.
because there was nothing else available. And so hopefully that'll provide some more workforce housing
Right.
that they may have been renting from. But Oregon's land use laws are incredibly complicated. They're 52 years old now.
Right.
And there's really not a lot of willpower in the legislature to change those.
Right.
And so what you're left with is taking really small bites out of the edges, and pretty soon you end up with Swiss cheese, and then that pile of spaghetti gets really complicated for land use planning and where you can build. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that they buy a piece of property, it's theirs, they can do what they want. Well, within certain parameters they can, but there's also things that they can't do because of those Oregon land use laws.
Right. And the last time we talked, we talked about this issue, and one of the things that you said was, there was a section of land along I-5 that was perfect farming land, because that was the point. And your question was, wait a minute, how did that happen?
Right.
Did you ever find out?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and again, fairly complicated.
Right.
But short story is that was in Woodburn's urban growth boundary. The city of Woodburn's, much like the LeGrand has an urban growth boundary.
Okay.
So when they pulled that ground into their urban growth boundary, then that allowed for development.
Okay.
Now, you couldn't, if that remained in county jurisdictions, that never could have happened. Well, never's a long time.
Right.
It would have been very difficult, and there was probably, I would guess, in that area, 10-acre minimums.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have
Okay. Got it.
ranchettes, farmettes, however you want to put it.
So, if that were applied to us, and if there were good farmland, but it happened to be inside the urban growth boundary of LeGrand, then at some point LeGrand could develop that regardless of whether it's farmland or not.
Correct. Not an easy process, but doable.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. But a city, and I know this because of the conversation, a city like LeGrand, if they want to extend their urban growth boundary, then they have to go through a complicated inventory process to show this is the amount of vacant land within the city, this is the capacity that it's used. We are restricted in growing, and this is what we need. I mean,
Yes.
they have to argue all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's similar process too for the county to go into designating commercial or industrial land outside of the city limits.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest and most well-known is Baum Industrial, and that happened quite a number of years ago, and it was specifically designed to drive economic growth.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, and I remember there was some conversation about that nearly all of that land was full, and the county was looking for more willing people who were willing landowners, right? How is that conversation? How's that going? Have you had any?
We did add a little bit,
Okay.
not a lot. There was actually, it was called Senate Bill 2 that allowed counties in particular to develop commercial and industrial lands, adding 50 acres to their inventory. And we did add some, I want to say it was 30 some acres that we added. Again, when you start looking at that though, if it's high value farm ground, that's a whole nother set of rules. So
Right.
it's got to be kind of in that middle, I mean, where it's not completely rocky, or steep, but at the same time that you would be able to develop it. So we have a little bit of that. And my question was, can we take another bite at the apple if we do have someone that's a willing seller? And the answer was, we don't know.
So, and there's not, the only, in my layman opinion, the only not high value farmland that we have are on the edge of the mountains, right? Where or is there land out there that is in the valley that is so rocky that it doesn't produce as well as it should, or I don't know.
Valley floor, it's mostly, not all, but mostly high value farm ground. Or the other problem is you get up on the foot slopes and it becomes resource land, which is another category, which is almost as difficult, not quite, but almost as difficult.
Resource land meaning it's got timber on it?
Or grazing, or
okay.
a little bit rocky, and
Okay.
you're not going to hay it, but you may graze it.
Okay.
And again, Oregon's land use laws are what I would consider very restrictive, but we've also got a lot of open space, and as Oregonians, we've done a really good job conserving farmland. But at the same time, I think it seems to me that we're often loving our farm ground to death, where if the commodity prices like they are right now, other than beef, are so low that farmers are really struggling right now.
Well, and so talk about that a little bit. I'm friends with farmers, and so I've been following that conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're barely making it right now. I mean, many of them. I don't know. You talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, and actually, I've had conversations probably very similar to the ones you've had, where they're saying, we've not seen commodity prices like this in quite some time. We don't grow a lot of corn locally, but corn is at a price of about 1974, give or take. And, clearly the equipment that they're using and the fuel that they're burning is not at 1974 prices. So that becomes really problematic. And I would call multi-generational, long-time, well-established farmers tell me that they're concerned they're not going to be able to make their payments on their loan this year. That's how low the commodity prices are. And what's interesting about that is beef prices right now are fairly high. And that, I think, is a ripple effect from years ago when they weren't very high, that folks got rid of some of their inventory and the cow-calf operations weren't producing like they were. And it supply and demand.
So, I mean, I know that there's farmers now that are like, I don't know what crop I can grow that's going to make money. So it's not just corn. It's not
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wheat is not doing well. Grass seed struggling a little bit right now.
And by make money, I mean they're just trying to pay their expenses. Their business is way more complicated than ours, but it's very simple. It's like you got payroll, you got expenses, you got insurance, you got lights, and you've got to make enough money to at least cover the expenses.
Yeah.
And they're struggling to even do
Correct.
that.
Yeah. And again, it's a choice. Before they plant, it's not penciling out.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Right.
And it's problematic.
Yeah. We mentioned regulations being complicated a couple of different times. So I went and saw Jeremy Davis, the CEO of Grand Ronde Hospital. They're kind of doing a mini tour right now, and I think they're going to be. I think Thursday they're going to be out at the Grange. Yeah, LaGrange
Somerville.
in Somerville. Yeah. So anyhow, I went and talked to him, or I went and listened to his presentation, and one of the things that he was talking about is that for hospitals in Oregon, it's like there is like a third more or 50% more regulations. I mean, he had a number, but the point of that he was saying is that hospitals in Oregon have a lot more regulations to deal with that make it difficult to make money and difficult to stay afloat than other hospitals. Is there ever a time as a commissioner where you feel like, I really can't, there's not really anything I can do about that? I mean, I don't know. How do you personally feel? How do you deal with all that sometimes? You're in this position of responsibility. People are
Right.
like, hey, you're the commissioner, fix this,
Yeah, one of the less pleasant parts of my job, I will be very honest, is that, someone calls and says, I have this issue. And I'd say, well, I'll be more than happy to help you with that, but I really don't have any jurisdiction there.
Yeah,
It's a city issue.
right.
You need to talk to the mayor, city manager, or councilors of that city.
Yeah,
Then there's us, where we have a very small realm of control, and then that's a state issue.
Yeah.
Here's the 15 state agencies that deal with that particular subject.
yeah,
Be more than happy again to help as any way I can and talk to. I have a story when I get
Yeah.
down here. And then the other is it's a federal issue. It's talk to your senators or your representative so and people don't like hearing that. They're like, well, you should be able to fix it. And I said,
yeah.
well, I
That's
wish
what you're being paid for.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Yeah,
So yes, fairly often I see that, and the other thing is, if you look back to that long legislative session that just got over in June, it was, I don't remember the exact number now, but it was well over 3,000 bills that were introduced. Every idea doesn't have to become a law, in my view, and it sounds like they're going to start narrowing the scope on the number of bills that an individual can present, and a fraction of those were able to actually pass and get signed into law. So rarely do you see legislation to take something off the books. It's always to add another rule, regulation,
Right.
or parameter to it. So, and I think that's kind of the nature of the beast until the point you get to where you can't move because you're covered in that spaghetti you were talking about.
yeah,
So yesterday I happened to be in the DMV and was going through my email, wasn't playing on my phone, and there was a young man sitting kind of across from me. I was in the corner with my back to the wall, and then he had his back to the wall, and didn't really pay a ton of attention to him. And then a woman and young child, I don't know how old, probably 15, 16, somewhere in that neighborhood, came and sat down, and she was clearly agitated. And I'm thinking, ooh, I wonder what, not mad, just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
yeah.
So I just happened to look over at her, and she engaged me right away. And so she told me the story, and she goes, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So short story long, she went in. She's got an ailing father on the East Coast. She went into the DMV to get real ID so that she could fly. And so they started that process. They printed out what her real ID is going to look like, and it's just on a piece of printer paper. And they punched her driver's license so it's no longer valid.
Oh, okay.
Well, she wants to fly right now, and it's going to take at least a week for that real ID to show up, if not longer. And she's going, I have no ID to fly now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said to her, I said, do you have a passport? And she goes, I do, but it's expired. And I'm like, oh. I said, and I'm thinking of what could be done? Who could we talk to? So I said, you probably need to call your state representative. So she said, and again, this lady was agitated, and probably rightfully so. I mean, will she be able to see her father before he passes? It sounds like. And so I said, let me get you the information for Representative Levy's office. And in the meantime, I was texted Bobby and said, hey, and explained the situation real quickly. And she and her new chief of staff, who was her old chief of staff, and I'll talk about that in a second if we have time, started work on that. And so they found a path forward, they think. And so Bobby said, I think we've got a solution. Thank you for, engaging. And she goes, it's kind of nice to be able to help somebody.
Right.
And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to just kind of follow up. This person had put her information into my phone to share with Bobby. Mm-hmm. And I also shared it with Senator Nash and his chief of staff as well, and they were working on it at the same time as well. And so I called this woman and said, she goes, I'm not sure this is going to work. I don't know what to do. I said, where are you flying out of? She said, Portland. And I said, when do you fly? She goes, as soon as possible. I said, I need a day. She goes, Wednesday. I said, okay, if it were me. And I said, this is only me. And she doesn't, we've not met before.
Right.
She doesn't know me from Adam.
Right.
And I said, if you're going to fly on Wednesday, I would go to PDX on Tuesday, go to TSA, bring your expired passport, bring your punch driver's license, bring everything, birth certificate, everything with you, and see what their answer is. Then consider buying the ticket or not, rather than buying the ticket right now and then not being able to fly. So, and then my other suggestion was for her to talk to her county clerk and see if there were any options available. So it just, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. And again, I don't know if it's going to work out for this person or not. Anyway, so you could kind of see her doing some mental gymnastics as we were going through this. Well, I looked at where she lives when she put her information into my phone to share with Representative Levy, Imnaha. So that's a hike just to get to Enterprise, and then again to here even more so. So I'm hopeful that it works out for her. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, so I guess the lesson is that, sometimes you might not feel like you can do anything, but you might have a cell number of somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And those people on the other end of that line will probably be just as sympathetic as you are.
And perhaps have another cell phone number that they can call or office number to move things forward. So and kind of back to Representative Levy and Senator Nash for a second. Isaac Ensko, local young man, former student of mine, was the ASB president for EOU a couple year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Had been Representative Levy's chief of staff. He is now going to be, and it was announced a couple weeks ago that he's going to be Senator Nash's chief of staff. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, very excited for both of them. I think they'll work well together, and it'd be nice, again, to have a friendly face when you walk into an office in Salem.
Yeah.
Not that the other one wasn't friendly, but more of a connection.
Well, and I've followed Isaac over the years and knew him as a kid, and he's been on the show, been in the studio several times and stuff. So that's awesome, and he's got a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for.
He does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And really has become a student of the game, if you will, and really got it dialed.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty excited for both he and Todd.
Yeah. Well, so back to county for a bit.
Okay.
So, so I'm going to ask you a difficult question because personally, because I know you feel this, and that is that yes, you said one of the frustrations that you have is it might not be in your jurisdiction. Okay, but if it is in your jurisdiction, you still are in a box, and these are the things that the county can do. These are the ordinances of the county. And for you don't have the power to just say, we're just going to disregard that ordinance and
Correct.
give you a land permit or give you, how do you feel about that? What do you do about that in those cases?
I'm not sure I pride myself on it, but I am very process driven. So there is a process in which we go through to make things happen. An example is one of my areas of liaison is public works. I get the phone call. My road is washboardy, my road is dusty, my road is fill in the blank. I said, okay, I will talk to Public Works. And I talk to them. And not every single time, but fairly often it is, yes, they are on the schedule. It doesn't do us a whole lot of good to burn diesel through a grader on a road that has been dry for 3 months and is going to remain dry for another month, because it just doesn't work. We can use water trucks, but the amount of water that it takes to get to work that road surface effectively is astronomical. So, and the other part of it is, it's not, and it comes to even plowing snow in the wintertime. We don't go, oh, we like Brent, we're going to plow his road and not plow Paul's because we don't like him.
Right.
There is a system, there is a policy, there is a procedure in place. And again, not always do people like hearing that, but at least they know that there is a process that we're following, and it's not like, oh yeah, we're going to play favorites or things like that.
Yeah. I can understand. And it's funny because before I ran for commissioner, I didn't really note what was a county road, what was this,
Right.
But now sometimes I'll go over a road and it'll be washboardy, and it'd be like, in fact, the other day I asked AI, what causes washboarding? Because it's like, it is such a interesting pattern
Yes.
how that happens,
Yep.
But yeah, the amount of county roads that the county is responsible for is enormous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you think that mileage times 2, because there's 2 lanes on most of them,
Yeah.
it's a long ways.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I had this discussion the other day. I was at an ODOT meeting in Salem, and the people don't care whose road it is.
Right.
It doesn't matter. They want a smooth, safe road to operate on. They don't care whether it's a state highway and it's ODOT's responsibility. They don't care if it's a county road and it's county's responsibility. They don't care if it's a city street and the city's responsibility. The jurisdiction generally doesn't matter to people. They want a good quality road surface that they can get from point A to point B.
Right. And I guess that is part of my point of saying that I didn't realize, because it doesn't matter.
A road is a road.
It does. Yeah. It doesn't matter who owns it. It just means that, like, there's a hole that I can drive down into and drive for a while and drive out the other side of, so I get that. But how do you help people understand that, but there are more important things? The bottom line, and spent quite a bit of time with John O'Brien, the new city manager of LeGrand, and that, public safety is more important than roads. It doesn't matter how you cut it. If you have a fire that's happening, those people being paid in order to put that fire out, that is a safety issue, or a crime. Those issues supersede everything else. How do you help people? How do you help citizens know that?
Just talk about the priorities that we've got through our budgeting process.
Yeah.
And you talked about public safety, and we do everything we can to support the sheriff's department and the jail, because that is a huge component. Right now, we're struggling with finding funds to be able to recruit and retain deputy district attorneys, which is difficult. Kelsey's been basically a one-person shop for quite some time, and is overwhelmed a lot of the time. It really is difficult trying to figure out priorities, and it's that budgeting process on which we really do set our priorities. And at the state level, I've had this conversation with Senator Nash, is his view, and I agree with him, it's public safety, transportation, and education are really the responsibility of government. county government doesn't have a ton to do with education. I mean, I try to be as supportive as I can of the initiatives that they're trying to move forward. But in my view, if I were if I were in charge of everything, the legislature would address and finance those before they looked at any other program. If it falls under the category of public safety, education, or transportation, let's get that solved. Then we can talk about
Parks and rec. And,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Something else. And I know, I mean, in Oregon, you know, the state parks are huge for our population, but at the same time, is that really rise to the level of those other three?
No.
And I don't know how that we get to the point where we prioritize those. And like I say, in my view, it should be.
Well, and the problem is, and that's where the state is right now. The state has this giant transportation bill that, you know, and without a doubt, some of that really is legitimate need. I mean, we could have another conversation about, you know, the extra or whatever that might be, but, you know, if you compare that to like state parks, once you get to a particular level, I mean, if you have nice, beautiful state parks and they're at a premium level and that's a pleasant experience, people always expect that.
Right.
You can't go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if you can't get there because the road's so bad, or it's
Right.
snowed in, or right.
Right. You know, so Red Bridge out here, I mean, that's dry camping, I think. It used to be. I don't know if it still is. I don't know if yeah. Anyhow, you know, I mean, so that state park is more rudimentary than Wallowa State Park, whatever the case might be. Well, once you make a nice park, you can't go back.
Correct.
Because the public are going to be like,
Yeah.
what? You're
Yeah.
spending money? You know, how are you?
Yeah.
So-
I will also say that state parks are really not terribly well funded, and
Right. That's just
and-
an
but
example
they
we're
do-
building.
I think they do a great job
Right,
with the
right.
budget they've got. I
Right.
mean, how often do you go to a state park and go, eh? I mean, they are nice.
But at the end of the day, the transportation, the condition of our bridges, the roads, that's always got to be taken care of.
Yep.
So, well, so you're not going to run again.
Nope, not
So-
for this office.
So you've got not for this office. You've got, and so then you've got about a year left, right? No, a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Call it 14 months.
Yeah. So do you have anything you want to? Anything you have bullseyed in the next 14 months?
I've got a list of more than a dozen things on my whiteboard in my office.
Yeah.
And yes, you know, I really would like to continue to work on the fuel situation at the airport. I want to see if we can, again, going back to Oregon land use laws, get to a point where we can have farms and ranches to offer those farmers and ranchers, businesses in our community, the opportunity to be able to have events at their place and maybe make a little bit more money to get them through these tougher times. Continue to work on that child care issue that I talked about earlier. And I've been working on this almost the entire time I've been in office, and that is the Blue Mountain Forest Plan. I put an awful lot of work into that. The draft plan came out a few months ago, and the comment period on that closed October 6th, I want to say. And now they're compiling that information and seeing what they need to, if they can, what they can adjust moving forward. So that's just a few of the things that I want to work on. I don't want to be a lame duck. I want to be able to, you know, stay engaged and work hard for Union County through till the last day of my term.
Good. Well,
As you should.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You're getting paid to do that. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it should
yep.
be.
I'm, you know, and whether it was here or when I was at the high school, you know, finish strong, don't coast, and so
Out
we can
with a
get done.
bang.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Paul.
you bet. I appreciate
I have
being
a question before you go. What?
Yeah.
What was that slide not for this office about? You want to talk about that? When he asked you, "Are you running again?" You said, "Not for this office."
So
Oh.
you're leaving open the
Yeah,
possibility.
like yeah. What's next?
here. Possible, but not likely at this point.
Possible, but not likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to be retired now?
I don't know. My wife retired last spring, and probably in my opinion, the very best thing is that she was able to pick and process and take care of all the produce that she worked all summer long to grow, instead of driving away to school and watching it rot into the ground
Yeah, right.
as she was heading. Or the other was, canning tomatoes in the middle of the night and then getting up and going to school in the morning.
That's crazy.
So, when my term is over, I will be within days of my 65th birthday. Not old. And to be honest with you, I don't know what my next act is going to be. But I want to keep working here and make sure I make the most of my 14 months I've got left.
Well, we appreciate you.
I appreciate being on here.
Thank you, man. All right. Hey, you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, let's do it. On this day, November 4th, 1841, the first wagon train arrives in California after a 5.5-month, 1,730-mile journey over the Sierra Nevada from Missouri. 1922, Howard Carter discovers the intact tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in Egypt. 1939, on this day, the first air-conditioned automobile is exhibited in Chicago, Illinois. It was a Packard. 2008, Barack Obama becomes the first African-American to be elected president of the United States. And then 2024, a new survey of teenagers reveals only a fifth, so 20%, of 15 to 18-year-old boys have experienced their first kiss. The lowest level since 1974. That has to do with these things.
Oh, yeah. Right.
These things.
So they're communicating more with,
Well, I mean, just everything more.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? Just, it's not pretty. The number one song in the country on this day in 85, Part-Time Lover by Stevie Wonder. Mm-hmm. And the quote of the day comes from Joshua J. Marine. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes it meaningful. One more time. Challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes it meaningful.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
So on Thursday, right after the morning show, Cliff Bentz will be in the studio somewhere around 9:30. That will be live. There will be the ability to put in comments and those things we can funnel to Cliff Bentz. So, all right. Thanks you guys for being here. See you Thursday.